I have been looking forward to this for a long time. I don't know, a lot of you know Denise for how warm and welcoming and how she puts people at ease and that woo part of her. And that's just a huge, it's a beautiful part of Denise. But the other part, another major part that I've so appreciated on our staff and as her friend and all that is that she has a thirst for learning and continuous growth for herself and others. And I mean, it's just, I mean, every other day she's telling me about a podcast, she's telling me about a book. But then there's some things that really mean something to her. She digs in and learns as much as she possibly can. And I've been kind of like, I couldn't wait. I thought, boy, we're going to have to get her teaching this stuff. So she agreed to teach, and I'm not going to do the title proper. What sticks in my mind is conscious leadership. She's been talking about conscious leadership. And when I think about that in servant leadership, it is hand in hand and so important. So she is going to teach us all about that. And I'm sure what it will do is we're going to learn a great deal today. But what I think she and I hope the most is it's going to make a curiosity or a hunger to find more and more about this and other things that we all can learn from each other in leadership. So with that, I want to give you our Denise Biggerstaff.
Hello, everybody. I am going to try to find my presentation, but Lizzie, how come it's not showing up on my share screen? I don't see it. Can you pull it up and just do it for me?
I can't.
It was working, and now it's not. So,
Will you want me to send you the link? And I'll put the link in the chat for you.
For the PowerPoint?
You can click it. Or I can share it. Yeah.
Elizabeth, why don't you share it while she's talking?
Okay. I'll do it.
Okay, guys.
Let me.
Okay, friends.
Okay.
Hey, I want to invite you guys to have a pen and some paper to take some notes. Okay. And I'm going to start with a breathing exercise. So I would appreciate it, and for your best interest, if you will silence your cell phones and if you'll come into this space. So if that means shutting your office door or minimizing your screens, walking away from work right now, that would be absolutely amazing if you would do that. Okay. Elizabeth, let's go to the breathing screen. Great. Look at this cute GIF that our sweet Red put on here. Isn't that cute? So our gathering is actually going to be an activity, and I'm going to teach you the box breath. And the box breath is easy. The reason I love it is because it requires me to count, and that helps control my monkey mind. So when I'm trying to be present and come in and quiet myself, if my mind has something to do, I'm much more successful at this. So we are going to gather right now. So that means everybody, I want your feet on the floor. I'd love for your shoulders to crack like mine did. That's so delightful. Backs are straight. I'm going to teach you the box breath. And we will do this for a little bit. And then I'll tell you why. I'll ask you some questions. Okay? So let me teach it to you. And as I'm teaching, we'll do it together. I invite you to close your eyes. It helps me not to be so distracted. So this is to the count of 4. And we Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold that breath, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Again, inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Again. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. One more time. Okay. I invite you to open your eyes. And Liz, the next slide gives everybody some questions. In the chat box, will you answer this? A couple of these. How are you feeling now after that breathing exercise? Do you notice any changes physically, emotionally, mentally? Do you sense any differences? Put them in the chat box real quick for us. Thanks, Don. You're relaxed. Great. The breathing did make me focus on relaxing. Isn't that amazing? More relaxed. Yeah. Away from work stuff. Yay. Mind is clear. Fantastic. So that's the amazing thing about breathing is it literally changes our biology. And I want you to remember that when we walk away from this today, because it makes all the difference in the world. It changes our parasympathetic nervous system just by breathing. I'm always so amazed that as I walk through my day, I get smaller and smaller through here. I constrict and I start breathing way up high. And that literally stops the flow of everything, my thoughts, my blood, everything. That breathing exercise can really change the way you view things. So thanks, you guys. Okay, Lizzie, what's next? Okay, I am so thrilled that you are with us. I need you to know that every single one of you is so important. You are so special. There is no one like you, and we need you. The world needs what you have. So I'm thrilled that you're here, and it makes me feel so special. Thank you for giving your time here tonight. We are going to learn about conscious leadership. And this is the book. It was founded by Jim Dethmer and Diana Chapman. And they are actually a consultancy. So they go into organizations and teams, and their job is to unearth unconscious beliefs and behaviors. And when they do this, the teams are just super engaged, super creative, and the top talent that they're working with is retained within those organizations. So they have some great results from their work. They talk about radical responsibility and curiosity. And those are going to be the two commitments that we focus on today. You can see the name of the book is The 15 Commitments, but a girl only has so much time and then it's dinner. So we're going to focus on the two today, and you'll see they're real foundational, and everything kind of springs off of that. Okay. Liz, I need my line. Okay. Hey, everybody. This line is where it's at. Okay. It's binary. It is or it isn't. It's either or it's or. It's either or. Okay. It's binary. So you're either above the line or you are below the line. Above the line is open and conscious and committed to learning. Below the line is closed, defensive, and committed to being right. And I want to know what kind of leader you are. Are you above the line or below the line? Throw that in the chat for me. Are you above the line or below the line as a leader? Throw it in chat. Let me see it. What are you guessing? Above, above. Yep, above. Learning, great. Thanks, Beth. Yeah, generally above. Fantastic. Fantastic. Great. Thank you for that, you guys. So this exercise actually replicates your day. You have to make decisions all day long with very little information. And at some point, you were certain that there was a judgment, like it was either going to be right or wrong. Okay? So let me give you a little bit more information now. This will be a marker. Okay? And we will use this throughout the session. You're going to know if you're above or below. It's really absolutely amazing information. We all want to be right. We all look, thank you, Liz. We all look at the words. I want to be curious, open, and committed. I want to be above the line, right? You're so smart. You already made that commitment, like to the judgment. Like I know what words sound better and what words feel better. But I have to tell you that most of the time we're below the line. Most of the time, we are below the line. We're defensive, closed, and committed to being right. That's pretty astounding information. It's not very comfortable either. But it is what it is. And it is actually caused by this crazy brain that we've got that is so beyond understanding, so fascinating, so capable of doing amazing things. And thinking amazing thoughts. But there is a piece of it called the amygdala that's about the size of an almond. And it was really important when we were Neanderthals to keep us safe. So that amygdala actually scans the horizon looking for saber-toothed tigers. Okay? When we see danger, we instantaneously decide what we're going to do. We're either going to fight, we're going to run, we're going to freeze, or we're going to play dead. And all day long, our brains are looking for threats. Now, I'm going to tell you, not many saber-toothed tigers on corporate campuses today, right? But your ego has now taken over the spot of saber-toothed tigers. So now what we are concerned about is Bill in the cubicle next to us. Now we're concerned about not having enough money at the end of the month. Now we're concerned about our kids and the way that they're dealing with life, the choices they're making. So our amygdala is still running the show. And I just want us to become aware today of that. And that's a big chunk of information to walk away with. So I hope that's one of your nuggets today. Okay. And self-awareness is really that piece that is the first mark of a conscious leader, being self-aware. So what's next, Lizzie? Okay, great. Thank you. We have a hard time figuring out our threats. Okay. Let me give you an example. You're giving a presentation and you look at your boss and she has a look on her face. And what happens immediately? Like, you have a response to that, right? Like, I go, oh my gosh, what did I just say? I'm in trouble. Am I going to fight? Am I going to run? Am I going to freeze? Am I going to play dead? My amygdala kicks in. Do you know at that point, what happens is there is a chemical cocktail that is released in our brains that changes our chemistry. And we start responding out of this chemical response. Isn't that interesting? In the book, Burnout, Brene Brown just introduced that on her podcast, Burnout. They make the statement, our bodies are emotional. And sometimes we choose to be rational. Our bodies are emotional. Most of us think our bodies are rational, and once in a while we have an emotion. The opposite is true. Okay? So I want to tell you that, Liz, is this the commitment? I'm looking for, hold on a minute. I'm looking for above and below the line. Do you have a slide for that for me? Okay, that's cool. That's it. Okay, so we're going to figure out what shifting can help us do in the middle of these responses. Okay, we have to be self-aware to be able to do that. We're going to want to move from being closed to being open. We're going to move from being defensive to curious, and from wanting to be right to wanting to learn. That's going to be fantastic. So why is it important to be above the line? Okay. Being above the line, remember I just told you that when we're below the line and we have a response, we have a chemical cocktail that washes over us, right? And we have to decide how we're going to handle it. When we're above the line, it allows for higher functioning brain. So this is the place above the line where we're creative, where we're collaborative, where we're innovative. Now, I'm telling you that all of us work on teams that want that, right? All of us want the creativity, the collaboration, the innovation. Those are the buzzwords these days. I'm telling you, most of our teams are not able to function at that high capacity. If we're not self-aware, we're below the line. Okay? So let me tell you that the 15 commitments provide a roadmap to constantly help us determine where we are with respect to the line. But the word commitment needs to be clarified. Liz, can I have that screen? Commitment is a statement of what is. You can know your commitments by your results, not by what you say your commitments are. We're all committed and we're all producing results. But conscious leaders own their commitments by owning their results. So here's an example. we're all committed to weighing just what we weigh right now in this moment. How do I know that? How do you know that? Because it is what it is. It's the truth. We're all exactly at the weight we are right now. So we must be committed to it. Most people would say that they're committed to weighing more or weighing less than they are right now. But the result, not the words, is what is the proof of the commitment. Okay? The result, not our words, is the result of the commitment. At any moment, we're living above the line or below the line, and the results occurring in our lives provide the evidence of which one. Okay? So I've got this neat video I want you to watch. Thanks, Liz. I don't have any volume.
You can't hear?
I can't hear.
Oh, hold on. I'm sorry, I didn't do that thing.
Okay. So this conscious leadership group is so interesting, and it's a framework of many frameworks that is, I think, works beautifully with a number of other fantastic models. So I appreciate you guys being here and listening to it, and I really hope you can walk away with some of the some nuggets today. And they've got such neat resources. So I invite you to check out Conscious Leadership Group when we're done, and check it out. Okay, little girl, you want to try it?
Location, location, location. Brought to you by the Conscious Leadership Group. Find them on the web at www.conscious.is. Animation by Graham Franks. www.grahamfranks.com. One question that conscious leaders ask themselves over and over is, where am I? To support leaders in locating themselves as they ask the question, where am I? We offer this tool, a line, a simple black line. At any moment, all leaders and all people are either above the line or below the line. Our location describes how we're being with what is occurring in our life right now. If we're above the line, we are open, curious, and committed to learning. If we are below the line, we are closed, defensive, and committed to being right. Stop right now and simply ask yourself, where am I? In this now moment, am I above the line or below the line? Typically, when people are below the line, they believe certain things about the world. For example, they believe there is not enough. It could be that there's not enough money, or time, or space, or energy, or love. People below the line also believe that their story about the situation is right. People below the line also believe that there is a threat out there. Something or someone is threatening their desire for approval, control, or security. And people below the line see the situation as serious. The deeper below the line they are, the more serious things look. People below the line tend to behave certain ways as well. They tend to cling to an opinion, find fault and blame, gossip, explain, rationalize and justify, get overwhelmed, and avoid conflict or pursue conflict for the sake of winning. When people are above the line, they believe that learning and growing are more important than being right. They believe that all people and circumstances are their allies, here for their growth. They believe that from a distance, almost everything is funny. People above the line live in curiosity, listen deeply, speak unarguably, question all their beliefs, and live a life of play. Now, knowing what you know about being above or below the line, where are you? One thing to know as you consider this question: we are hardwired to go below the line. Literally, our brain is programmed to perceive threat, and when it does, a chemical cocktail courses through our veins, and we go below the line. This reaction was designed to help us survive in the presence of a real threat to our physical survival. An issue for modern-day leaders is that often our brains can't tell the difference between a threat to our physical survival and a threat to our ego or identity. We react and get defensive when we experience a threat to our ego. So in many ways, being below the line is natural and normal. But when we are below the line, we're not in a state, literally brain state, of high creativity, collaboration, innovation, and relational connection. We're simply trying to survive. Leaders today can't thrive if they're in survival mode. So the first activity of conscious leadership is location, location, location. In this now moment, where am I? Telling ourselves and others the truth about our current location begins the great conversation.
Thanks, Liz. Great. Isn't that a fun video? I love it. Really cool information. So most people live life largely in their personalities, right? We live in our past. We have regrets. We have anger, resentment. We live in the future where we're wondering if we'll have enough. And we hope and we are scared of things. And there's no judgment to that. I mean, there is just no judgment. It's because it is what it is. We are what we are. This is all we know. But the commitments can really help us shift out of that and deal with just the life narrowing that comes from that place. So I'm going to introduce you to the 2 commitments, and then I want to help you learn how to shift. And I'm still learning how to shift, and you just do for the rest of your life. Thank you, Lizzie. There's commitment number 1, my friends. I want somebody to read this so you guys don't have to hear me over and over again. I want somebody to read the commitments above the line and then read the commitment below the line. Who wants to do that? Unmute and read away.
I can do it, Denise.
I can do it.
Bethy. Okay, Chaz, hold on. I'll let you do another one.
I commit to taking full responsibility for the circumstances of my life and my physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being.
Great. Awesome. Chaz, do you want to do the below the line? No. Are you there? He froze. Bethy, will you do it?
Sure. I commit to blaming, I don't want to commit. I don't want to commit to blaming others and myself for what is wrong in the world. I also don't want to commit to take more or less than 100% responsibility.
Isn't that something? That's when you read those below the line commitments, they're very uncomfortable. So they're even more motivation to move above the line, right? Blame is a pretty powerful motivator, you guys. When things don't go the way we want them to, we are looking for somebody to blame. Think about the kid who, spills their milk at the dinner table. Jenny gets a DUI. Johnny flunks math. The team doesn't hit the goals. Like, isn't that what we do? Don't we look for the person to blame? Blame comes from something. It comes from toxic fear. Okay? So when things don't go the way we had planned, our natural human reaction is to get anxious. And then to deal with that anxiety, we're looking around for somebody to slam it with. Okay? We want to take the pressure off of us. We want an answer. Unfortunately, blame, shame, and guilt are all that result of toxic fear, leave us resentful and bitter, and we're below the line. And I've already told you, guess what happens below the line? Low learning states, you're demotivated, there's high turnover, there is low creativity and collaboration. So it really erodes the effectiveness of a team if you've got a blame culture. So how do you take 100% responsibility? Most people believe that the world should be a certain way. Okay? This was definitely my experience. I knew that there was a right way the world was supposed to behave and a wrong way. What I found out about a decade ago is that nobody cooperates. So the world that I had planned, nobody else bought into. Okay? And when we have a right way that the world should be, all we end up with is frustration. It never cooperates, right? So we get anxious, we get what? Resentful, we get controlling. So to combat that, excuse me, the first step in taking responsibility is to shift. We need to shift from believing that the world should be a certain way, and that maybe we just need to understand that the world just shows up. It just shows up. We need to shift from rigidity and closed-mindedness and self-righteousness to curiosity and learning and wonder. All drama in our lives and in our leadership is caused by the need to be right. And letting go of that need is a radical shift to responsibility. But it doesn't stop there. Here's the interesting part. What if we believed beyond the fact that we just have to kind of surrender our plans and understand that the world's going to show up and I'm have a part in that? What if we believed that all of our experiences and all of the people around us were really our allies? What if we believed all of it was going to be for our good and we could learn from it? So that is really exciting stuff when we can shift, and instead of looking to place blame and push people down and feeling threatened, we start to say, there's probably something good that's going to come out of this. Even Bill in the cubicle next door, he might be for my good. Okay? So that's the piece of radical responsibility that I think feels pretty lovely. I think there's a real peace that comes with some of those shifts. Liz, thank you for my screen. So if you're playing the blame game, nope, take me back, baby girl. If you have a blame game culture and you're playing the blame game, thank you, almost. Hey, Liz, hold on. There we go. Perfect. Okay, blame game. So if you're saying who did it, why did it happen, what's the root cause, who dropped the ball, who's going to fix it, that's a blame culture. Think about how you could shift your questions into a learning culture and say, what do I really want right now? Am I willing to learn whatever it is I most need to learn in this situation? Am I willing to see all others involved as my allies? Am I willing to take full responsibility for this situation? Can you see how that opens things up? And people around you don't have to be so defensive. Radical responsibility means locating the cause and control of our lives in ourselves, not in external events. Okay, Liz, are we going to watch a... Yeah. Thank you.
Are you taking your 100% responsibility? Brought to you by the Conscious Leadership Group. Find them on the web at www.conscious.is. Most people, teams, and organizations think of responsibility as a pie. Like all pies, this pie gets cut into pieces. To see pie cutting in action, just think of an issue facing your team. For example, in the world of healthcare, one typical drama is timeliness in the operating room. The health and well-being of patients, the stress of the clinical staff, and the financial success of the department are all affected by the ability to make and keep a schedule. However, many ORs have been known to run behind schedule. When this happens and teams go below the line, everyone starts blaming everyone else for being tardy. Typically, the responsibility pie gets divided up. Surgeons blame the anesthesiologist for pushing cases later in the day. Anesthesiologists blame surgeons because they never have their patients ready on time. Administrators blame physicians for expecting special treatment and making demands. There's also a slice of the blame pie for nurses, who are perceived as slow to turn the rooms, the cleaning team for not working fast enough, and the system, for example, the man, for creating all kinds of meaningless rules for the OR. This is dividing the pie of responsibility. From below the line, there is 100% responsibility, represented by the whole pie, and then there are portions of responsibility that get assigned to everyone who participated in the issue. In drama, responsibility is something that is assigned, and it's assigned to those who are to blame for what went wrong. In some cases, people assign themselves or others a small piece of the pie, which is less than 100% responsibility, and in other cases, more than the whole pie, and that is more than 100% responsibility. From above the line, a new, radical approach to responsibility emerges. In presence, responsibility is not something that gets assigned. Rather, it is something that is taken. From above the line, everybody involved in the issue can take responsibility for what is occurring. And from above the line, there isn't just one pie, but rather there are as many pies as there are people touching the issue. Instead of one pie of 100% responsibility being divided amongst many people, every person takes their own 100% responsibility. In other words, if there are 20 people who touch the issue of timeliness in the surgical suite, there are 20 pies of 100% responsibility, so that everyone who is willing can take 100% responsibility for what is occurring. One key to creating a culture where people take radical responsibility is to commit to seeing everything as a learning and growth opportunity. From this consciousness, there are no problems or mistakes for which blame must be assigned. There are only learning opportunities, perfectly suited to each individual and team's greatest growth edge. Here is what radical responsibility looks like for a surgical team committed to learning and growing. The surgeon says, "I want to take responsibility for this case, starting 15 minutes late. I overbooked my schedule and didn't allow enough time to really talk to and prep the patient. I see this as a pattern in my work, and I commit to creating enough time to get each patient ready for surgery." The anesthesiologist might say, "I too want to take my 100% responsibility and get my learnings. I can see that I've created a story that our culture just runs behind schedule, and so I make decisions about scheduling cases for later in the day. I see that adapting my decisions to this story about the culture is actually an excuse and doesn't allow me to take my 100% responsibility for assuring that the OR runs efficiently, and I commit to scheduling cases with that goal in mind." The nurses and cleaning teams say, "Our piece of the pie is that we are not really working together to create the most efficient means for turning the OR between patients. We're going to have a meeting to identify processes that can create greater time efficiencies." Administrators could say, "Our piece in creating the drama is that we have created and enforced more rules rather than really listen to all of you who are working in the OR every day. We commit to listen more and legislate less." Whenever teams claim 100% responsibility and end blame and criticism, real breakthroughs occur. Issues get resolved, teams function more skillfully together, and stress decreases dramatically. So, are you taking your 100% responsibility?
Thanks, Liz. I'm just saying that every time I watched that video, I would give my eye teeth for a piece of pumpkin pie. I can't help it. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. That's what it brings up. It's a perfect time of year to watch that video. So let's go to commitment number 2. Thank you, Liz. And I'm going to need somebody to read that. Chaz, are you available?
I am here and ready to read.
Awesome, my friend. Above and below, please.
Above, I commit to growing in self-awareness. I commit to regarding every interaction as an opportunity to learn. I commit to curiosity as a path to rapid learning.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom, I commit to being right and to seeing the situation as something that is happening to me. I commit to being defensive, especially when I am certain that I am right.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Very
Thank
much.
you.
You bet. So when we're below the line, the ego is fighting for survival, and we become entrenched in the scarcity belief, like there just isn't enough. There isn't enough love, there isn't enough time, there isn't enough money, there isn't enough energy, there's no security, control, approval. I mean, you can see where it would be easy to be below the line. That's where we are most of the time. Okay? Above the line just looks better, doesn't it? Feel better, something about it. Above the line is opening to the big fun game of learning and growing. And we trust ourselves and our source, whether that's God or the universe. There's a trust that things will all be okay. There's plenty of time, energy, love. There's security, control, approval. It's a great place. Conscious leaders really choose to spend a lot of time high in their learning state above the line. But, my friends, conscious leaders do not stay above the line all the time. They just don't. We don't have the capacity to do that. And I'm going to show you what happens. Lizzie, is your drift shift next? Yeah. Liz drew this for me. I love her. She did all of this beautiful stuff for me. I'm so grateful for her. So here we are at the top of this really cool model, and we're in presence. And when we're in presence, we are available. We're out of drama, and we're available for our people. Okay? Things can occur around us, and we are at peace. I think when I think of presence, I think of my kids being in front of me and I'm paying attention to them. So I'm watching not only, what they're saying, but their body language. That is presence. Okay? Great place to be. And when we're in presence, I've told you we're capable of this higher learning, all the creativity, the collaboration. It's happy, really. It's happy. But then something happens and the kid spills the milk, or you get cut off in traffic, or an email pops into your box, right? You get the text, ugh, and suddenly you're out of presence and you start to drift. Okay? Now, you've heard me say conscious leaders do not stay above the line all the time. The only difference between conscious leaders and unconscious leaders is the fact that we can shift faster. We recognize it faster. That's the only difference. We're going to experience the same things they are. So when that something happens, we come out of presence and we start to drift. As conscious leaders, we know that we have to do a couple of things to shift when we start to go below the line. Okay? And I've already shared those with you. We're going to breathe. That's literally the first thing conscious leaders do, is they breathe. My precious husband, I called him the other day, and he's an excavator, an operator. He digs big holes and puts pipe in the ground, and he is amazing at it, by the way. And he has one kid on his team that just kind of can, cause some of the drifting, as it were. And he had just gone into a conversation with him and was riled up. And I said, honey, you need to breathe. So on the other end of the phone, I hear him going, But I want you to know later on, he reported back that it did indeed pull him out of that situation and put him on better ground. So this stuff works. So pause. We pause. Liz, do I have anything for this? I can't remember. No, take me back, will you? Thank you. We pause. We pause. We stop. We breathe because we want to change our chemicals in our brain, in our body. And we literally ask ourselves, where are we? Where am I? Where am I right now? Am I above the line or below the line? Now, the difference between conscious leaders and unconscious leaders is unconscious leaders go down into drama. Okay, that's the stuff that is below the line, where we're clamoring for the answers outside of ourselves. And we expect other people to provide those or something to provide them. So Liz, now show me that drift list, will you? These are some of the things we do when we're drifting. And listen, some of them are not bad. We're just trying to get out of the situation. Okay. For instance, cleaning, one of my favorite things to do. It's the cheapest therapy out there, people. I love to clean. Oftentimes, listen, do you rehearse conversations that you want to have with people because you want to get your point across? That's the drift. You're pulling out of that curious state and you're planning. So take a look at that drift list and see if you can relate to some of that. The criticizing. I love to control. Control is doesn't work. Nobody cooperates. Look at the figuring it out. Don't you think that looks very positive? Don't you think that's the answer to almost anything? I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. That's not being curious. Do you know that there can be more than 2 answers to a question? Isn't this good? Are you guys still looking? Throw in the chat, like, what's hitting you? Look how some of them are physical. Some of them are mental, like the body aches, the interpreting. I always back up and try and have 4 conversations with myself to figure out things. Do you have anything to share, you guys? Shopping, bring it. That's awesome. I didn't know rehearsing was bad, Liz says. Yeah, that planning out. Okay, hilarious. Beth, do you care if I share? Beth says, I'm in trouble. Sarcasm is on the list. Gardening, yay. Okay, great. Thanks, you guys. Okay, will you pop back to the drift shift model for me, Lizzie? Thank you. I think you did such a good job on this. So you can see that as conscious leaders, we have the ability to say, I'm sensing something. We might feel it in our body first. We get flushed. We might feel our bodies constrict. We have the ability now to say, I need to pull back. I need to take a minute. I need to breathe. Thanks, Liz. I need to breathe. And then I need to say, where am I? Okay. Okay, Liz, where am I on this then? What's the next? Is it the video? Okay, one more video and then we're going to wrap it up, you guys. Thanks, love.
Are you choosing curiosity over being right? Brought to you by the Conscious Leadership Group. Find them on the web at www.conscious.is. Choosing curiosity over being right is one of the most important choices a conscious leader makes again and again, moment to moment. The ego believes that being right and proving that it's right is the key to survival. Remember that when we are below the line, we're in a threatened state. When we experience threat, our instinctual priority is to survive. Fighting to prove we're right is fighting to survive. Every drama we're in, no matter how big or small, is rooted in a desire to be right. We want to be right that the supplier should have gotten the product to us on time. Our co-workers should treat us with more respect. The sales team should hit their target. Our 5-year-old shouldn't hit his sister. We should lose 10 pounds. When we are in drama, we're experiencing threat from the outside. We get defensive and commit to proving we're right and closing ourselves off to other perspectives. This threat is a threat to our 3 core wants: approval, control, and security. Being right makes us feel valuable and worthy of approval, a sense of being in control and confident that we are safe and secure. Conscious leaders understand this. They don't make others or themselves wrong or bad for being triggered and for wanting to be right. Rather, they're self-aware enough to know they're triggered, and they accept themselves for being reactive for wanting to be right. Then, they shift. Shifting is choosing curiosity over being right. In drama, we ask questions like, who's right? How can I protect what's mine? How can I maintain my image? How can I stay in control? How can I avoid conflict? Conscious leaders know that these are small questions, and they won't create wonder and curiosity. Wonder questions are not questions that we figure out. When we try to figure something out, we think we're bigger than the question. When we allow the question to be bigger than ourselves, we are in awe. We're in wonder. Children can teach us about wonder questions because they're not focused on being right. They're focused on learning. They ask questions like, how does this work? What happens when I do this? They don't have the right answer. They have curiosity. Leaders ask wonder questions like, what can I learn from this situation being exactly as it is? How would I react right now if I weren't trying to control an outcome? If I told all of my truth about this issue, what would I say to myself and others? How is this situation familiar from my past? When they ask these kinds of questions, conscious leaders breathe, move, and wonder. In so doing, they get curious and all new possibilities, insights, and learnings emerge. Doing this as an individual is powerful, and doing it together as a team is transformational. So, are you choosing curiosity over being right?
Excellent. Thank you. There's so much to these commitments that we just don't have time to touch on tonight, but I hope that it has started a conversation with you inside your brain. So I'm just going to leave you with some key takeaways. And this was just like off the top of my head. I want you to remember that we're all below the line most of the time, and that's not a judgment. Okay? And we can learn how to move above the line. And just think of the power that is, not only for ourselves, but for our families and for our teams. Commitment is proven by results, not our words. Creativity, innovation, and collaboration take place above the line. And everyone drifts, not everyone shifts. Okay? I want to leave you with this idea. And I just saw it today on LinkedIn. Simon Sinek said, when it comes to the most powerful trait of leaders, it is not being a visionary, and it is not having charisma, but rather it's about courage and the ability to face what you face every day, making decisions without a lot of information, knowing that there's going to be some judgment and people are affected, and you make those choices all day long. He said, the gentleman asked him and said, well, what can you do to build courage? And Sinek said, you don't. He said, you get courage from the people around you, from your family and your friends, your colleagues, your employees, the people who have your back. So I wish that for you guys this day. You certainly are those things for us, for LE, and we want to be that same encouragement for you too. So thanks for your time. Liz, I think we've got a couple of things you want to go over with everybody.
Yeah, me or Lynn. So we have a few things going on. If you guys aren't aware, We are back with another LE Connects, which is next Tuesday at 4 p.m. the same time. And that's going to be with Holly Zare about COVID, holidays, stress, just like preparing for all the changes that we're going to have this year. The other big thing that we're doing right now is getting nominations in for Celebration of Leadership. Hopefully you all know what that is. If you don't, I mean, ask us, we will tell you. Go to leadershipeveryone.org/celebration of leadership, and you can look at all the stuff from last year and then nominate. And the nomination deadline is December 18th, but we would love them now, because the more we get in, the more we share them, and that's really exciting. Lynn, do you want to talk about voice? You got to unmute.
There we go. We are actively seeking visions through our website and an online way to do it. Rather than coming together as a group, we're able to do this individually online. Also, it's shareable. So anybody you can think of that we should get visions from, please send it and encourage people constantly. You can do this on voicecommunity.org. If you lose that, go to leadershipeveryone.org, and you can get there through our regular website as well. We're having an activation meeting, so a meeting on November 10th at 8 a.m. Zoom. And what we're going to be doing is listing all the different organizations, people, places, schools, companies that we think we need to activate in doing the visioning, and we'll make that happen. So anyway, we need all of you to help. We certainly do. And I want to say, Denise, that was beautifully done and very helpful. So I want to thank you very much for this. It was just amazing. And I'm seeing people chat all about how great it was. So you did a wonderful job, sweetheart. All right, anything else?
Blessings, everybody.
Thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thanks for doing this.